Hey everybody, welcome back to Breakfast with Bob. My name is Bob Babbitt. We are at Challenge Daytona in the PTO 2020 Championship. Brought to you by Captiva Spine, John Hall Chevrolet, USA Triathlon Foundation Risk Partners, and the PTO, the Pro Triathletes Organization. Our next guest, Henri Schoeman, the first South African to ever win an Olympic medal in triathlon 2016 in Rio. Henri Schoeman. Henri, how you doing, bud?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you.
So talk a little about the fact that you last September when you first were feeling ill?
Yeah, exactly. Last year, September, it was actually the day before I raced the World Championships in Lausanne.
Yes.
Started feeling really unwell. And later that week when I got back home, I was terribly sick, terribly fatigued.
Yes.
So I did a couple tests. I actually was hospitalized. And then they ran a few tests, and it came out that I had the strain of coronavirus, which was the MERS strain. And I was taken out. Like, it affected my liver so badly, the count just went into the thousands, and I had to take a month and a half completely off just to try and recover again. So I was man down.
So when you looked up COVID or coronavirus at that point in the dictionary, there was nothing.
There was nothing. I still remember searching on Google, trying to dig out coronavirus, what it's about, and I found nothing.
Nothing at all. And when people start talking about it, you're like, oh, I had that a year ago. No big deal.
Yeah, exactly. Like when this whole coronavirus started coming out this year, I was like, I had this last year. Is it the same thing?
Yeah.
But then it turns out, so this year's one is COVID-19, so it's obviously a different strain.
Right. And now, did you get it again?
Yeah, I got it in June. I got it in June this year.
Which one was worse?
Are
they both bad?
They were both bad.
Yeah.
Last year's one, it affected my organ quite badly. So, I guess that's quite bad. This year, it was like a bad flu.
Yes.
Quite a bad flu. I lost my taste and smell. I was extremely fatigued.
Yes.
I had to take off a month of training, just to be safe. And,
right.
Did all the proper tests to make sure that the body's 100% to start training again.
Right.
So I did everything the right way, make sure that the body's healthy and safe to continue. So,
right.
But yeah, it was a difficult time for sure.
I bet. When did you get into sport of triathlon?
I already did some sport when I was already 10, 11, 12.
Mm-hmm.
Did some races called the Tiny Tots back in South Africa.
Yeah.
Just for fun. My dad was, he was a runner and then a duathlete back in the day when I was growing up. And yeah, he just brought us to these multi-sport events and took part in them. And I really enjoyed it. And
yes.
But when I was growing up, I was more focused on swimming actually.
And when did you make that transition to triathlon? And was swimming something where you were at a level where you were thinking Olympics?
Yeah, definitely. So I had the ambition to go to the Olympics for swimming and triathlon, and I wanted to go for swimming first.
Yes.
Trying to follow my brother's footsteps because he went
Your brother was a really good swimmer.
He was. He's 2 years older than me, and he went to the Beijing Olympics and London Olympics. And, he was my inspiration growing up. So, I looked up to him. I was training next to him. I was living, watching him exactly whatever he does. And, learned a lot from him. So I wanted to follow his footsteps and go to the Olympics with him for swimming. But, I kind of stopped improving when I was about 16, 17 years old. And at that time, I did no training for triathlon, and I won the national championships 2 years in a row. And I thought, well, it's a good time.
Something's telling me that maybe I should be doing something different.
Exactly. So that's the time when I thought, this is when I should take it on full on.
Well, as a swimmer, right now, what was your event in distance in swimming?
Distance swimming, I really enjoyed the 200 fly and the 400 IM.
You know what's so funny? I was just going to ask you. I ask every swimmer, what's tougher, the 200 fly or the 400 IM?
It's a very good question. I think they're both equally quite tough. I've had some sort of enjoyment with the 200 fly actually, and the 400 IM is more endurance tough, I think.
Yes, but man, 200 fly. I'm good at 30. Basically a 25-yard pool and then the push off the wall and then I'm done.
Yeah, that's
and then I just sink and die.
Yeah, I think it's that third 50 that really gets you. But I enjoyed it back then.
That is so funny. When did you feel like, okay, I'm getting to the point here where I can be good enough here to potentially make a living?
It was actually in 2013. That was a year that I stepped up to the world scene. It was coming from nobody, ranked like outside of 300.
Yeah.
And I went to San Diego. That was actually my first WTS.
I raced there.
Oh, awesome.
I was actually doing the announcing for the WTS there.
Okay, yeah.
With Greg Welch, and then we did the age group race the day before or that morning.
Yes, that's right. Yeah. So that was my first one. You know, big eyes going into that race, like as a youngster.
Yes.
I think Alistair was dominating at that time. He just ran away from everyone.
Yes.
I got a few things wrong, like my hydration and everything was completely off. But, you know, it was actually my next race where I went to Yokohama and I came sixth. And that was just, I mean, I had some some people doubting me that, you know, I shouldn't even be going into this kind of racing. I should focus on the smaller races, build my way up. But, you know, this is where I wanted to be. So that I thought, start here and just learn from the top, you know. Because I'm a good swimmer, I'm going to be up in the breakaway. I'm going to be around the Brownlees and, you know, Javier Gomez. So that's the best way to learn. So I wanted to race, and that's why I went to Yokohama, and I actually had one. It was such a breakthrough for myself.
So you were also a mountain biker?
No. But I did break my collarbone.
Okay. I was going to say, you were out 2 years after a mountain bike accident. I'm like, wait, what? So when you broke your collarbone in your shin sprints, stress fractures as well?
Yeah, so that was actually
a mess.
Yeah, it was a very interesting story actually. So I smashed my collarbone, and at the time it was a very bad time with stress fractures and things happening at that time, because it was going on for about 2-3 years where I wasn't able to run or get any like. It was kind of like 1 step forward, 2 steps back with my running, because the transition from swimming to running was just, it was very, very bad for myself. And when I smashed my collarbone, I thought, you know, is this it? Is that when I throw in the towel? But it was actually my dad who gave me the inspiration to just say, take a step back, focus on the small things, focus on like strengthening up your feet, your lower legs. Mm-hmm. And once I started getting back into running, it just started flowing again and started coming back, and I just started improving from that point on. So it was actually a bit of a blessing in disguise to just take a step back with the...
Force you to focus.
Yeah, exactly.
That is cool. So I'm like watching, wait a second, was he racing mountain bikes? So the mountain bike, you happened to be on a mountain bike.
The first time I was on a mountain bike was the day before.
Man. And now, do you think any of the stress fractures, were they coming were you just doing too much running? Because one of the problems that swimmers becoming runners have is a lot of times, because your engine is so well tuned that you don't hurt, right? You can process oxygen, you can run forever, even though your legs aren't used to carrying the weight, right?
Exactly. So I mean, I had that Ferrari engine with Uno wheels, and the wheels just fell off basically.
Yes.
So I mean, I was also very inexperienced, and I learned a lot from that. I learned to listen to the body, and, much wiser now.
So talk a little bit about, when I look at 2016, you were fourth in the grand final. You won grand final. You're fourth in the series. You win the grand final, and then you get a bronze in the Olympics. So 16 was a pretty damn good year for Henri Schoeman.
Yeah, it was a crazy year towards that. Funny enough, with that beginning of that year, it was one of my worst starts to the year because I had a knee injury, and I thought, well, this is just setting me back.
Right.
But I kept working hard. Like, I got into amazing shape for Rio.
Yes.
And I surprised the world, I guess, even myself a little bit. But I did believe in myself. I knew I could achieve it, and I did. And then a month later, I go into Cozumel World Champs final. And I go and win that.
Yes.
And I went into that race just on top of the world, thinking that I've done what I wanted to for the year.
Anything else is gravy.
Exactly. And it was just like the craziest thing that I go and win that race. So it was a very good ending to that year.
Well, and then 18, the Commonwealth Games, right? Win that too?
Yeah. So 2018, I won the Commonwealth Games, which was... It was really nice. So for a major games, I mean, it's nice to get a medal at the Olympics, but to actually be a champion, maybe it wasn't the Olympics, but it was Commonwealth Games. It's big for our country.
Really
and
big.
Big for the Commonwealth nations. To be able to be a champion, that was quite something and quite an experience.
We talk about that all the time. If you can be on a podium, why be looking up at anybody?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not really that much fun. So the goal now is Tokyo?
100%, yeah. So Olympic Games for me is the biggest goal every 4 years.
Right.
That's what I train for most of the time. And yeah, I mean, unfortunately it was postponed this year, but we're hoping that next year it will be on.
Right.
I think Tokyo is well suited for myself. I like the heat. I like that kind of course. So I mean, I'm really looking forward to it, and hopefully it does carry on.
Well, you also like racing the best competition.
Exactly.
Which is why this race is so cool. It's a little different, right? This is a little long for you.
Yeah, it's definitely longer than what I'm used to, but I love a challenge. Like, I love it, and I've done 170.3 this year already back in South Africa.
How fun was that?
It was tough. It was actually a tough course. The East London course. So it's basically a lot uphill and then downhill. Very, very demanding course, but this is very flat. So it's going to be a different challenge. It would be interesting to see how I fare up against the best across all formats of triathlon, and it's known to be a showdown on Sunday. So looking forward to that.
It's going to be amazing. I mean, have you ever been in a race with $1.15 million in prize money at stake for one race? Yeah,
there's a lot happening on Sunday, and I'd love to get my share of that.
And you're a wild card. You got in here as a wild. I'm going, wait, he's an Olympic bronze medalist. That isn't a wild card. But you're a wild card here, and you were pretty excited to get that.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I'm very fortunate and lucky to get that wild card. I've been having my eye on this race the whole year, ever since I saw it happen last year.
Yes.
And I mean, I wanted to race here, and I was just, when I got that message that I've got a wild card, that was crazy awesome. And I mean, I don't race enough long distance to get that ranking, but so that's why to get a wild card was awesome.
And you race against the Brownlees and Javi all the time. So now, have you had a chance to go on the track yet?
Yeah, I was just on a few minutes ago.
What do you think?
Yeah, it's crazy. Like, the wind changes direction on every part of the course, but it's flat. Like,
did you go up on the bank at all? That's pretty scary.
No, I thought it was fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was enjoying myself.
Yeah, for a guy who went over his handlebars and broke his collarbone, and I'm looking, and there's an Achilles. Let's see, a downtime with Achilles issues. You've had a fair number of injuries. Do you feel like you're over that?
Yeah. I mean, we're always on the borderline, on the limit with niggles and injuries.
Yes.
And I think it's just some athletes, even myself, we sometimes just push the limit a little bit too far in training, and it's just a competitive nature. Like, we're trying to be the best version of ourselves every day.
Right.
So it's just about managing those little niggles.
I love it. Henri, it's such a pleasure to finally get to chat with you. I've been reading about you for years. Congrats on everything you've done in your sport. Now, have you seen more growth in the sport since there's more awareness based on what you've done in South Africa? Yeah,
definitely. There's been a definite growth, especially with the youngsters. After Rio Olympics, there was a big change in the triathlon community, especially in my hometown, which was amazing to see. So it has made a difference, and I'm always working to try and lift up the spirits of the juniors, also give them the knowledge of triathlon, because it's a very niche sport in South Africa.
Yes.
So it needs a bit of work to be done, and I'm happy to help those juniors see what triathlon is about.
What's interesting to me is when you travel somewhere, I mean, it's not like we flew 4 hours from San Diego here. How long did it take you to get here from South Africa?
It was a good 38 hours.
38 hours.
38.
So it's a commitment. When you're going to a race, you're committing. You're 100%.
No, 100% all in.
Yeah, if you're flying home, you want to make sure you've got some prize money in your pocket.
100%.
I love it. Henri, thank you for taking time.
Thanks, Bob. Yeah, it was awesome.
Henri Schoeman has been our guest, everybody. Thanks so much for tuning in. Hold on. We will be right back.